Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. I can see a few people down the bottom of my screen. I'm just trying to get rid of my keyboard. I like to have my mic a bit closer because I've noticed, and what other people have said as well, that the further on I go in these broadcasts, the more, the more, um, the quieter I get. So I'm trying to make sure you can hear me okay. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Hello, Tijanti. I'm going to go for. Hopefully I've got that right. Hello, welcome. Let me know whereabouts in the world you are. I keep saying dialing in from, but I mean, if you're young and you're on this broadcast, you won't have a flipping clue what I'm talking about. But we used to have the internet whirring, and we had to dial in, and it made a lot of noise, lot of weeping, whooping, and beeping, and all sorts of stuff just to get onto the internet. Of course, it's all very quiet now, isn't it? Hello, Craig in Nevada. Hello, Colin from Kansas. Lovely to see you. I can see a few people have been here before. Let me know if you have been here before. And also let me know if you're new. That's always good to hear. So I'm just going to waffle for a little while. I just like to give people a chance to come in so they don't miss too much of what I'm about to talk about. Hello, Colleen. You're new. We had somebody from Arkansas the other day, actually. Was that yesterday? Oh, Shajanti, you are from Slovenia, is probably all I'm going to manage because Lubi. This is the trouble with a live where you can't hear people say a word. This is where I like to do a session on Zoom after this where I can connect with people a little better. But I don't, seeing I don't know how to pronounce that, but welcome anyway. Hello, Catherine from Arizona. We've got a few people coming in. It's nice to say hello to you all. And today we're going to explore mindful presence in relationships, which I'm really looking forward to. I've recorded a little session, a free session that's will be available after this. Well, in the next few days. I don't know when it'll be available because there's the Insight Timer people who approve your tracks. They're really variable, and sometimes it's really quick and sometimes it's really slow. When they were swapping over to the new platform, excuse me, they were taking ages, but they're much faster again now. So I'd love to know why you're here today, what you're hoping to learn, or maybe you just came onto Insight Timer and just went, oh, I'll just go see what that's all about. I'll go see what Claire's talking about. I can see some familiar faces coming in now. Let me know if you've been here before. Say hi. Let me know how your weather is. Summer has finally loaded here in the UK. It's like that thing where, when the internet used to be particularly dodgy and you'd have that little bar going across it where something was loading. It's felt like that for summer, but you can probably see the sun's just literally just come around this side of my house and is now shining through the window, which is nice. It's nice to see it because it has been bizarre. But still, like, we were talking about gratitude yesterday, and I'm just so grateful for this, for our weather being mediocre, because at least it's safe. Not everybody's weather is safe at the moment, is it? There's so much going on around the world with people's environments. So I send a lot of love out to anybody who's struggling with any of that at the moment. It can't be easy. My fiance used to live in Tenerife, and they've got fires at the moment. I know there's fires in Canada and other parts of the world. It's got very hot in other parts of the world, whereas we've had wet. And my fiance is originally from South Africa, and they've had snow in South Africa, in places in South Africa that have never had snow, or not in living memory, as it were, or not in recorded weather history. They've never had snow. So it's all changing, isn't it, the old world? Or maybe it's just like us. Maybe it's just here for a season. It's just passing through weather. That's what weather does. And it's a lovely metaphor for us, our transient psychology. And how convincing it looks that it's dangerous, doesn't it? A lot of the time. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, especially this is for the new people. My name's Claire Downham. I'm known as the Queen of Calm, and I hope that's the experience you have of. Excuse me, I do apologise for yawning, but I've been awake since 10 to 4 this morning. I've only been awake 12 hours, folks. We're travelling today, and I usually have a little bit too much thinking about travelling. And we're going to motorhome, so it's like making sure we've got everything, and it's quite a lot of stuff we have to pack. So I do get a little bit in my head about it, and therefore when I woke up at 10 to 4, I tried for a bit to get back to doing. I just gave up because I just thought I can't be bothered to fight this. I'm just going to get up and get on with it. Did some yoga and cracked on with packing and stuff. So I'll be all right. I usually am. So I'm at the moment in Leeds in Yorkshire, which is in the north of England. I'm pretty much bob on 200 miles north of London, and east to west I'm pretty much in the middle. So I'm about 70 miles from the east coast and 70 miles from the west coast, right in the middle of the north of England in a place called Leeds. And that's when I'm here. But as of tomorrow, so tomorrow when I go live tomorrow morning, I will not be at home. I'll be somewhere in my motorhome. I'll actually be sat on the car park of the racecourse in York. How random. So if you're passing by, obviously not those of you that are in America or Slovenia, but if you're passing by, come and say hello. That's where I'll be, and I'll be away for the next 18 days, travelling around in my motorhome. So that's what I do when I'm not at home. I live in the motorhome some of the time, which is great fun. I really love it. So I can see a few more people have come in now. Please do hop into the comments and say hello and let me know if you're new. So those of you that haven't met me before, I was a primary school head teacher I was in primary education for 20 years. The last 5 of those I was a school leader in a primary school, in charge of a primary school, as it were. And in 2015 I burnt out. I had no idea I was stressed at all. I had not recognised the screaming of my body, which was saying, Claire, you need to stop now. And I wasn't sleeping, and I was a jittering mess. And I went to work one day, looked at my computer, and just thought, I can't carry on. I can't do this. I'm done here. And thought I maybe just needed to, a couple of weeks off to try and feel better. And I didn't work for a year. So I was really poorly. And but as I say, I had no idea how stressed I was. I had become so stressed because I was a control freak. And in fact, I've just uploaded a brand new course onto Insight Timer where I talk about control, the illusion of control. I was hook, line, and sinkered into the illusion of control. I thought I could control things in the outside world, and I thought I needed to, because I thought my well-being was there. I thought that I needed the world to look a certain way for me to be okay, and so I tried to make the world look that way. And it was like playing whack-a-mole. I don't know if you've come across that game. It used to be an arcade game, but I think it was also a children's board game where the little mole heads pop up and you have to try and keep them all down. And that's what my life was like, really. I was trying to control a lot of things, which meant I had lots of things to do and a lot of things to think about. And I never quite felt okay with it all because, of course, all the heads never stayed down at once, because they don't, do they? Because life isn't like that. Life is much more of a contact sport than that. It doesn't behave the way we might want it to behave. So I became very exhausted and burnt out. And I didn't work for a year, and then I resigned, and then I started my own business, and I bought into a real kind of sense of needing to hustle and needing to be a particular way to be a business owner. And so my next aspect of control, because it was all about control, was trying to control my emotional state so that I could be the most productive, good, goal smashing business owner on the planet. I did a lot of tools, a lot of techniques, daily rituals, lots of strategies, read a lot of books, and did a lot of poking around in the past with the mistaken belief that I could find the answer there. And maybe you've been there too. So let me know in the comments if you've tried a lot of things to feel better, or to be better, or to do better. You know, I tend to say to people that I help you be, do, and feel the very best you can in every aspect of your life. But really from an understanding that all of that is already available to you inside you, and it's not, you don't need to get it from anywhere else. So I went on this journey of trying to fix myself that lasted quite a few years. And I realised my journey is probably not as long as some other people's. But then I was very, very fortunate to come across this understanding that I share here and everywhere in everything that I share, called the three principles. And the three principles are thought, consciousness, and mind. And it is the combination of those three principles, thought, consciousness, and universal mind, that come together to create every single moment of our experience. And I had a very rapid, profound transformation through learning that understanding, and became very passionate very quickly about teaching other people about it. And I guess I would call myself a mentor or a guide in terms of helping people like you, Lisa, to get off that self-help hamster wheel. I used to call it self-development hamster wheel, but I prefer self-help. It's a self-help hamster wheel. And it looks, doesn't it, Lisa, like we have to keep going because somewhere there will be the answer. But really where I'm pointing is to the truth that it's already inside you. There's nothing out there. There's nothing out there in terms of controlling circumstances or people or any of that, but there's nothing out there in terms of any tool or technique that you need to do to feel okay. Now, you might choose to do some tools and techniques because you might like them. Like I like to meditate. It's enjoyable. It does, you know, when I want to, it kind of helps me to connect to that space within. But what I am pointing to here is to that space within is already there. It doesn't really need a tool or technique to get you there. Do them if you enjoy them. If you're doing them with a sense that your well-being is dependent on them, that's a completely different thing. So Lisa, you are in the right place, because here we explore things deeply from the three principles perspective, and I point you to the truth that it's already within you. You are already home. There is nowhere to get to. You may not think that's true right now, but I hope that by the end of this session you're starting to see a glimmer of that. And as you start to see that glimmer, I hope you'll want to continue this journey with me. So please do follow me if you don't already. But if you start to see a glimmer, but you think, oh, well, I'm not sure Claire's the person to teach me this, then there are other three principles teachers on here. There are lots of other three principles teachers out there in the world of the internet, who you can connect to and listen to and find out more about. I do not miss this opportunity to learn about this, is what I would say to you, because it is so powerful and so transformational. So, what else do I want to say? I do have 4 courses on here. I have a course about balance, I have a course about relationships, I have a course about productivity, and I have a course about revealing your true potential. And the new course is called Sustainable Calm with the 3 principles. So that one really is a foundational course in the 3 principles. So when that comes out, that'll be the one I'm telling you to do first, even though I've made it last. But I kind of think that makes sense, because you'll see when you get in there, it makes sense for it to be that way around. It's just that's where I've got to on trusting my intuition and being guided in terms of what I share and when I share it. So how I work on here is that each month I have a theme, and I share some tracks, some little short podcast tracks on that theme. I have a course on that theme, and I do these live sessions on the same theme. And the theme this month is relationships. That's what we're looking at most closely. So today's session, and we've covered so many lovely subjects. And really interestingly, what I noticed quite quickly was that last month we did all the stuff was about productivity and about, doing more stuff, from this three principles perspective. But the same subjects, the same areas to look are coming up in this month as did in last month. I just think that's really interesting, because what that's pointing it to is that there are some universal truths about how we work as human beings. And that is, it's powerful when we look at that. So we're going to talk about mindful presence in relationships today. And we're going to explore all sorts of different aspects of that. But as I said before, we looked at mindfulness, or we looked at productivity and how important it is to be present when you're, to be in the present moment, to be mindful when you're looking at your productivity levels. So we're going to explore this from a three principles perspective. So let's just start with a little bit about the three principles. So the three principles was uncovered, shall we say, or discovered or realised by a man called Sydney Banks in 1973. So the three principles is 50 years old this year. Hello, Eleanor, lovely to see you. And the three principles understanding is an explanation of how life works for human beings. And what it says is that there are some fundamental truths about human experience and how it's created. And these fundamental truths are what underpin everything that you experience as a human being. So, hello, Ree. Lovely to meet you. So the three principles are mind. So this is everything, really. I mean, when I talk about three principles, really everything is this. Everything is or comes from this universal energy of life. Like all of everything that exists on the planet, it's the energy, the aliveness, the power of the universe, that God, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't really matter. But there's this sense that there is something beyond this world of form, or before this world of form. And that powers everything. That powers you, it powers me, it's what connects us all. It's what, when we say there's one spiritual body having 8 billion human experiences, that's what we're talking about. It's that connection, it's peace, love, wisdom, calm, confidence, resilience, all of those things that are innate to us. And then there's consciousness. It's that which brings our experience to life, that brings it into our awareness, that has us feel emotions in our body, that has us experience the world out there. It's like it's that aliveness in form. What I see out there is what I see out there because of the aliveness and the third, and the fact that I'm conscious and able to take it all in. But in addition to that, it's the power of thought. And the thought is the third principle. And thought is the bridge. It's the missing link. It's the connection between the formless energy of life and the form, and how things come into form. And so form is everything, isn't it? Everything that we experience is form. And so therefore how we experience life is created in the formless, there's a formless energy, and thought is what brings things into life for us, into our experience, into consciousness. It's that connection between the form and the formless. And so anything formless comes into our existence through this bridge of thought. And the thing about thought is that it's unique to each and every one of us. And I think when we're talking about relationships, which we are this month, that is one of the most important things to realise, that everyone has their own unique way of seeing the world, their own unique thinking, and that creates their reality. Nothing else. And so everybody's got a different bridge. You and I can look at exactly the same thing and we will be seeing something different. We can even be seeing colours differently. I could experience somebody's behaviour and just be absolutely livid and having a really terrible experience. You might experience the same behaviour and just really not be bothered, because it isn't working from the outside in, it's working from the inside out. It's this bridge of thought that takes us from the formless to the form. Now, when I talk about this understanding, I don't often talk about those three principles individually. We talk about the implications. Because of the three principles, we have something called separate realities, which is the fact that everybody is creating a completely separate reality, a completely different reality to everyone else. And so there are 8 billion different realities on the planet. So how cool is that? That is cool, isn't it, to see that? So when we talk about relationships, that that is a really key aspect. I completely lost my train of thought then, but we'll come back online now. Back online, rebooting. So let's get on to the proper, I am going to keep just sharing a bit about the three principles at the beginning of the talks, because I say it different every time I say it. I'm seeing it more deeply, like this is a new way of talking about it, this concept of a bridge, that thought is the bridge between the formless energy and your reality, what the world looks like to you. That's the conversion process. That's how it's happening. Excuse me. So just when I'm ready to talk, my Remarkable, which has my notes on, has decided to shut up, shut down. That's not very helpful, is it really? So let's talk about mindful presence in relationships. It sounds like a wonderful ideal, doesn't it, to be present with somebody else. And I think there's no two ways about it that all of us would say that our experience of other people is enhanced by us being fully present, fully engaged with another person. I guess, nothing on our minds. But I'm not sure how many of us manage that on a very regular basis. I think I'm there more than I used to be, but I still, I think it's a bit like my sleep at the moment. My mind is busy, and so I wake up in the night and I can't get back to sleep because my mind just will not go quiet enough to do that. And I notice sometimes when I'm with Bruce, my fiance, that the same thing is happening, and I'm just not there. So maybe in the comments you can share if you've noticed that experience of just not being there, being somewhere else. I think for a lot of the business owners that I work with, for them it's it's school holidays, or they've gone on holiday with their family and they notice that they're not it takes them a few days to be really there with their family. Prior to that, their head is still in their business, and then at the end, so business owners I think maybe get like 2 days in the middle of the holiday when they've moved on from being caught up in the business and they haven't started to think about the business again in terms of going back. So sometimes that can feel like a very small window in which we are really present. So thank you, Colleen, you're relating to that sense of never really being switched off from our thinking, and therefore we're not switched on to the present moment and who we're actually with. So let's just explore how our experience of that is being created. and what we can maybe see about it that's helpful. So I'm sure most of this, all of this that I'm sharing at the moment is to do with raising your awareness, becoming more aware um, of what is really going on for you. So when we consider the kind of implications of the three principles, there's something really helpful that comes about. So when we talk about thought being the bridge between the formless and the form, it's also part of that process is that it's thought that brings alive our emotions in our body. And there's something really powerful about beginning to notice, beginning to become aware of a particular emotion that's coming up in a particular situation. So let's just take your, trying to spend time with, or spending time with somebody who you want to spend time with, you care about, you love them, and you want to spend time with them. And but actually your mind, your head, your thinking is elsewhere. It's on the fact that when you finished in the office yesterday, you've actually still got 300 emails in your inbox, or you're thinking about after the weekend the how many meetings you've got, and you're just not in the present moment. Now, I guarantee that comes with a feeling, because thought is bringing alive energy into your body, into your emotional, so you can feel an emotion, a sensation in your body. And it may be a tightness, or just a general discomfort, or just an agitated feeling, perhaps an anxious feeling, perhaps just a low feeling. Now, the amazing thing is that your system is built to let you know about that. And if you go back to the idea that thought is the bridge between the formless and the form, then an emotion is being created by whatever bridge you're on at the time, whatever bridge is in use. Now, you do not choose the bridges. You do not choose which thinking you're doing at the time. So I will you'll be in trouble, any of you, if you start beating yourself up about any of this. You won't be in trouble, but there's something here to hold in mind, to bear in mind, in that it's very easy in this kind of conversation to start beating ourselves up that we're not doing better than we are. So it's, when let's say we're caught up in, how many emails I've left at work, and I'm trying to spend time with my child, and or my partner, or whoever, and I'm feeling, disconnected from them, and that comes with an uncomfortable feeling. So that uncomfortable feeling, that sensation, is just like a warning, really, to let you know that you're not in the present moment. That's it. It's just letting you know. Now, when you know that's what it's letting you know about, you will be much more likely to choose to bring yourself back into the present moment. If the uncomfortable feeling looks like it's coming from your full inbox, then it's going to look like thinking about your full inbox is helpful. But it isn't, because that's coming from your poor state of mind, that sensation. So that awareness is created by your body to let you know that you're out of kilter, that your thinking's not in a helpful place. And then, what I'm noticing is that increasingly I choose to stop that thinking. I do have to apologise for the yawning. I think it's partly because the sun is shining on me and making me quite warm. Plus, I have been awake since 10 to 4. So, yeah. I did go to bed quite early, but I am quite tired now. So the system is warning us about our state of mind. Now, the fabulous thing is, I love the Eckhart Tolle quote, which says, the moment you notice you are not in the present moment, you will naturally fall into the present moment. And that's, it's just so powerful, that, because what it's saying is that not only is the present moment, a second away, it's also saying that once you notice you're not there, you naturally will fall into the present moment. Now, the reason that is because on a kind of practical level, is that as you become aware of the thinking about the future or the thinking about the past, that awareness, which is who you really are, it can only be in the present moment. Awareness can't be anywhere else. It's like the body and the breath. That's why awareness is so like part of that meditative experience. Because as soon as we're noticing what is, and we're with what is, that's all there is. The process of awareness is a present moment process. And so suddenly we're the thoughts that we're having now are thoughts about an observation of what's going on inside us. And all that does is just reset the whole system. And we reset back to the mindfulness in the present moment. And that's just so powerful in terms of, if we want to have healthier and more fulfilling relationships, that there are huge benefits to being in the present moment. Huge benefits. We're much more likely to listen. We're much more likely to be connected to the person if we are in the present moment. So that's kind of the underpinning stuff around this mindful presence in relationships, and how it kind of works, really. So we've talked a bit already about awareness, but then there's another piece around awareness that I think is really, really important, and that is that awareness can also prevent us from another aspect of not being present, which is reaction. When we're caught up in our own thinking, when we're in our head, we will be much more likely to react from a place that's not particularly helpful. Excuse me. Is it bedtime yet? For some of you, just getting up, aren't you? So I hope I'm not making you feel tired again. Or maybe just having a nice lie down and a nap while you listen to me, half nap. So awareness also helps us with moving away from reaction, that's driven by our thinking, and more towards response. So, and if we want to be connected to other people, if we want to be in a kind of present place with other people, then that's really, really important. So again, this system that is built to guide us, to let us know about our state of mind, this system is perfectly created for this. So let's take a situation where you are upset with someone or angry with them. Let's go for anger, because that's a real reactive thing, isn't it? So you're feeling angry and upset. And let's say it's because somebody's done something that you don't like, and if you are in an outside-in misunderstanding, it will look like that person there, the person we're talking about, has made you feel bad. Watch out for that statement. They made me feel. It made me feel. He made me feel. She made me feel. They made me feel. Watch out for that. Because anything where you're saying something out there made you feel something inside is just not true. It just doesn't work that way. The entirety of your experience is created inside out, not outside in. So that's helpful again, because we're going back to, oh, there's a sensation in my body. What do I need to, what's that sensation about? Well, that sensation is about your state of mind. It's what thought bridge are you on now that's creating this level of discomfort? I have to say, this is probably the yawniest I've ever been in my whole life. Apart from today, I went to get my nails done and my eyebrows, and got my nails done first. And then I lay down on the couch thing to have my eyebrows done and just started yawning. I think my body went, oh, is it time to go back to bed now, please? Please, can we? And I could just feel my eyes getting really, really, really heavy. And I was yawning my head off then as well. I think maybe I yawn when I'm here because I feel so relaxed and calm. And I probably could just like fall asleep here with you all. That wouldn't be very entertaining, though, would it? Or very helpful at all if I just went to sleep. But maybe we could all just have a nap and then we'd all feel amazing. I'm not going to have a nap, really. So we feel the sensation in our body. If we think it comes from the outside world, of course we will say something, do something, shout at somebody, get upset, whatever. In the extreme circumstances, I'm sure that's none of you here, but in extreme circumstances, somebody might hurt somebody. You'll all remember probably the Oscars debacle. Probably a couple of years ago now, isn't it? Where Will Smith slapped Chris Rock across the face because Chris Rock had said something that Will Smith perceived as being out of order and rude towards his wife. Now, that's a great example. It was a gift for me. I was doing a lot of posting on LinkedIn at the time, so it was a gift. I was like, yay! Thanks very much, Will Smith. It's a great piece that you've done there, because I could really see his psychological innocence. Like, anybody who commits something like that in that moment does not know better. It doesn't mean like I'm pretty sure 5 seconds later he really did know, because obviously stuff was kicking off and it wasn't good. But at the time at which he did it, it made perfect sense, because everybody's always doing the best they can with the thinking that looks true to them in the moment. That's it. And our momentary thinking, when it's brought to life by consciousness, just looks real, doesn't it? It really does. Anybody here believe their own thinking sometimes, and then 5 minutes later think, oh dear, that's not actually true, and that's not helpful, and look what I've just done. We've all done it, haven't we? Now, if Will Smith had realised in that moment that angry feeling he had, I'm going to say he had an angry feeling. I don't know what feeling he had, because I wasn't inside him. And I try less to be inside other people these days, because I spent much of my life being inside other people's heads, or trying to be. But I'm going to say he felt angry. And when he felt angry, it looked like the way to relieve that anger was to go on the stage and smack Chris Rock. This is always assuming that the whole thing was genuine and not some kind of stunt. I don't know. So you can see that, when we're present and calm and together, we're more likely to respond, because we're more likely to see that the feeling isn't coming from them. So when we see that in the moment, we can choose to calm down, we choose to look after ourselves, we choose to take care of ourselves, and we stop trying to push that emotion out into the world to try and get rid of it by doing something outside world. We might pause, we might take a breath, we might go, oh, hang on a minute, I'm not in a very good state, so I'm not going to talk to that person just yet. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till I'm a bit calm, and then we'll have this conversation. We don't need to have it now. And I think that can make such a difference, because you probably notice even if you just leave it a couple of minutes, even if probably not even that, you start to calm down, and as a result of that, as a result of calming down, you then have much more clarity. And it still might mean that you want to say the thing to the person. You might still want to say, hey, actually, I really would rather you didn't do the thing you did before. Is it okay if you don't? You put politer, calmer, you probably say less words than you would have done if you'd done it when you stood up. So we're not saying let people trample all over you or not be nice to you. But what we're saying is that we're going to deal with that better when we're in the present moment. We're going to deal with that better when we're calm. We're going to deal with that better when we're not caught up in our story about what somebody's supposed to be like and what they are like and what we're like and what we need to be okay and all that kind of thing. So, the other thing that's really helpful that comes from the 3 principles and can help us to spend more time in the kind of mindful presence place is, I think I've mentioned this a little bit already, but realizing that we are, we have separate realities, that I have my reality, you have your reality. There are 8 billion realities on the planet. They're all unique, they're all different. We all see the world differently. And that when that comes into its own, when we really see that, then the compassion can come through. Which I think compassion just helps you to let go of things. To just let go. To realise that you don't have to carry on thinking like that. You don't have to carry on carrying that burden around. You can let it go, you can put it down. And when we do put it down, when we just go, oh, don't need to carry on with that. Something, there's the capacity there for so much to emerge. So I'm going to pause for a minute. Just let me know if it's all making sense, if there's anything you want to ask, if there's anything you particularly got on your mind at the moment about a relationship that you think would benefit from being more in the present moment with it, then please do share. We had a lot of talk yesterday about people's children and people worrying about their children, which was tricky. But yeah, let me know if there's anything in particular you've heard, and if there's anything that you just are not sure about and you think, well, I'm not really sure I understand that, then do let me know, or ask a question. Happy to hear questions as well. I'll see questions or read them. Read questions, isn't it? And while you're having a little think about that, I'll just remind you that if you haven't already, please do follow me. Who's going to be my who's going to be my 1600th follower? Because there's like 1594 or something earlier today, so I've just got 6 to go until we get to 1600, which is super exciting. Oh, Wendy, you're here again. You wish the talk was yesterday, as you did react last night and it wasn't good. Well, I do it all the time too, Wendy. Don't beat yourself up is what I would say about that. You're a human being. You're looking in this direction, and it will, those occasions will get less and less intense, less time and less intense. But in the meantime, realize your own separate reality, your own psychological innocence. This is something that I talk to my clients about all the time, because my clients are people who are very good at beating themselves up, I find. There's a lot of them. And yeah, me too, for very many years. And so they I think what can happen when you're on any kind of spiritual journey is you start on the journey, you get a little way in, you start to see something, you start to go, oh, hang on a minute, this is really good. I'm starting to feel a bit better. I'm seeing something, but then you're a human being, and sometimes your cage gets rattled from the inside out, obviously, and you lose your plot with somebody about something, and it's. I think what I've noticed about that, and this is more of that presence thing, is that this is what I think happens with that kind of guilt piece, Wendy, is that I like that, Wendy. You were on expert level of beating yourself up. You're getting better now. You're just kind of a bronze medalist now then. You were gold before, and now you're bronze. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I totally get that. But here's what I tell you, Silver. You're getting there. Yeah. Like sit with the progress, sit with the journey, sit with the excitement of that. It's so helpful. But this is what I see about what happens when. So let's just take a situation which I have never been in before. She lied, where we've snapped at somebody. Now, what used to happen when I was also a gold medal beater upper of myself is that I would feel terrible about that. I would have no compassion for myself, so I would snap at somebody, then I'd have no compassion for myself, and I'd be beating myself up. And if you think about that, that's you in the past. You're looking at your past errors, and you're stirring them around and poking at them and being horrible to yourself about them. That's all past thinking. That's why that kind of thinking makes us feel low, because it's in the past. Now, what I've seen about this is that if I've said something unkind, and I've blurted, I've reacted, basically, I've been unkind, I've been rude, I've been angry, whatever, then if I'm present, if I'm not in Claire's little world beating Claire up, and I'm present, I will see there is a person up in front of me who is hurting. And I'm not going to like three principles that and say, well, it isn't me that made them feel that way, it's their own thinking. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to see a person hurting, and I'm going to do something about, because that's what's there in front of me when I'm in the present moment, is a person suffering because I've not been nice and I've been grumpy. And then what I find more and more is that the inclination to just say sorry and make amends is there when I'm not thinking about my past behaviour and beating myself up. And the great thing again about our super duper fabulous system is that being in that past thinking, being in that past, mulling it over and ruminating over it. It's ruminating, isn't it? Like that guilt stuff is very ruminating. I don't know if ruminating is a word, but it is now. It is on Insight Time with Claire. I make up words all the time, but I just find words that work for what I want to express, and that's all good. So if we're not in the past beating ourselves up and feeling guilty, then we can be in the present moment, and we are much more likely to just say sorry. And that's what I find is the case now, because I still do. I'm human like you, Wendy, and I do sometimes snap at Bruce. Those that were on the call last night got to see that Bruce is a real person, because somebody said, Jenny said, I want to check out that Bruce isn't your imaginary friend. And he was in the kitchen in there making the tea. So I got him to come in and say hello. He was so cute. But when I'm present, I can see his little crumpled up face. I can see that he's getting, upset, and I'm much more likely to just give him a hug and a kiss and say, I'm sorry, darling, that was just unnecessary. I was snappy, I didn't need to be like that. And then, excuse me. And then Bruce and I are in a better place quickly. For me, the pause is the power. The pause is where there is so much power. I find myself just more and more just stopping for a moment. It only takes a moment. It takes a moment for me to stop, to feel my feet on the floor, to take a breath and see how much in that very short space of time has gone. Because this is the nature of thought. It's clouds going across. It's a weather front. Sometimes our weather fronts are quite large and black and horrible. Right now we've got just little white fluffy clouds in Leeds, so that's nice change. But it is all moving. I can actually see the clouds moving a little bit. It's not very windy, so yep, they're moving. Probably is very windy up there, actually. It just doesn't look like they're moving very fast, but they're moving. And sometimes it's just that pause, just that moment when we feel it in our bodies, and when we realise it's not coming from them, we tend to stop and take a breath. So I hope that's helpful, Wendy, in terms of, it's back to the ruler, isn't it? When we see that's, I don't know where my ruler is. When we see that this is giving us a headache, are we going to stop doing it? If I don't, sometimes I'll forget that's giving me a headache, and I'll go back to, I remember now. And sometimes I'll need a guide or a mentor or somebody to just point out to me where I'm hitting myself on the head with the ruler, where my thinking is creating an uncomfortable experience or discomfort or suffering, I guess you would call it. So, the separate realities thing, the seeing that everybody is creating their own reality and everybody's doing the best they can with thinking that looks true to them, is so, so important in terms of developing that ability to be just present with somebody. And it's important for how we relate to ourselves, Wendy, like you've been pointing out, and it really is. It's vital for that. So, what leads beautifully on from there is looking towards non-judgment. And I know a lot of spiritual teachings talk about non-judgment. I know they talk about in Buddhism, and there's lots of stuff to do with that in meditation. I remember once I used to be quite into Gabby Bernstein. You've heard of Gabby Bernstein? She's one of the Hay House authors. And I did her book, I think it's called Judgment Detox, ages ago. But for me, that just had a lot of things to do. And really with this understanding is, once you see it, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now, you might miss it sometimes, but you will keep going back to it. Is to see this separate reality, to see that really whoever you are, whoever they are, they're doing the best they can. So the judgment begins to fall away, because you just kind of go, oh, I see. They really don't know any better. They've just got their thinking, which came from their conditioning, their experience in life. That's just an amalgamation of a program. They're a program running. And this is not about accepting when people aren't kind to us repeatedly. It's about seeing through that lens of non-judgment, that they're okay. And again, Wendy, this comes back to us as well, that non-judgment of ourselves. That, we want awareness. We want to start noticing, I see, I've got a bit of a pattern around that, or I've got a bit of a habit here, or I tend towards that. But without judgment. I tend towards that because I do, because at some point there's been an experience in my life that has me tend towards that. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. It's all good. So all those things, the compassion, the separate realities, the empathy, and I think forgiveness comes in here as well, suspending judgment, they're all coming from that same space of recognizing separate realities. So, 55 minutes through. Anything else anybody wants to talk about or share on this subject of mindful presence in relationships? I'm hoping you're beginning to see how it is, how it really works. Because this is all what we're doing here. This is like the instruction manual for your mind, the instruction manual for your way of being and how your experience is created. And once you understand it, life just gets easier. Just like when you have the right manual for an electrical appliance, like actually you can work with that, can't you? If I've got the manual for the television and I'm trying to operate the microwave, it's all going to go horribly wrong, really. Not least for because I won't have a meal like trying to cook my food in the television. So Wendy Woo, you've done so amazing at body non-judging. Well done, that's brilliant. That just shows that you have the capacity for the rest of it, but the minor behaviours are a lot harder. But you're looking in the right direction, Wendy. Your wisdom has brought you here. So, Deborah, you keep hoping that your husband, who has sudden outbursts, sees that you're sad and yet doesn't acknowledge knowing you asked him to stop many times over decades. Oh, bless you. I've been there too, wanted to leave him. Yeah, and he slips back into it. Yeah. Oh, bless you, Deborah. The last sentence is the bit that I'd really like to help with, which is, and this is just that kind of conversation I have with many of my clients about I've just been working with a lady recently who's been treated appallingly by a man. The story she's told me about it is just awful. And she's very much in that space where, or she has been very much in that space where you're talking about not being able to shake the feeling off. And that sense that that's your job, Deborah, to get rid of feelings. It isn't your job to shake off a feeling of hurt. It isn't. Now, there are some things you can see about that feeling of hurt. And they are around the fact that, yes, there is somebody in your life, your husband, who is doing things and saying things that are not pleasant or kind, and having outbursts. But they are not happening now, I assume, right this minute. So after they've happened, if there's an annoying and hurt feeling, that is coming from you continuing to think about that thing. And I am not saying it's easy to stop. But I don't know if you've been on my sessions before, Deborah, but this thing I do nearly every session, because I think for me, it's been one of the most helpful things that if I'm hitting myself on the head and telling you about my awful headache, I'm telling you that I've got an annoying, hurt feeling on the side of my head. And I can't make it go away. And I've tried many different things to make this pain go away. I've tried drinking water, and lots of water actually. And I've been for lots of walks in the fresh air, and I've done all sorts of things. I can't make the headache go away. I've got an annoying hurt feeling on this side of my head. It won't go away. And of course, Deborah, Wendy, Cher, you're all going to say, do you want to just stop hitting yourself on the head with the ruler? Now, sometimes I'm going to go, oh, God, I'm hitting myself on the head with the ruler, I'm going to stop. But then I'm going to forget, because this has become a habit. This way of thinking has become a habit. I'm back on it again, look. Oh, I've spotted it. I'm going to stop. Now, as we see, Deborah, that's what's creating the suffering, we will stop the analysis of the other person, saying we can't understand what the other person's doing and why would they want to do that. Why would somebody want to hurt somebody else? Well, because in their reality, in that moment, that is all they've got. And for me, that has been huge because that was my pattern. Somebody would do something, usually my ex-husband, who lives next door now. I don't recommend that one. So, he would do something or say something, and I would then churn it over in my head for hours and sometimes days, Deborah, like you're describing. And I remember one occasion actually when he'd left and had moved next door. And I was doing a lot of online dating at the time, and I met this guy. And the guy, I connected with him because his profile name on the internet, I think it was on Plenty of Fish, was Namaste. And I thought, oh, he sounds interesting. I'll connect with him. So I connected with him, and we got chatting. We only actually met each other for coffee once, and we just stayed friends. There was no sparkle like that. But anyway, one Sunday evening, I was chatting to him on, just on WhatsApp or something, and I was just saying, oh God, my bloody ex-husband lives next door. It's such a pain. It's so annoying. I wish it wasn't like that. Really caught up in, because my ex-husband is living next door with the woman who 10 years ago was quite pivotal in my marriage breakdown, shall we say. And she wasn't very nice to my kids, and I'm just like, just moaning about it. And he just said, well, you don't have to think about it. And this was before I came across this understanding. I just went, kind of was on WhatsApp. What do you mean I don't have to think about it? Well, I am. What do you mean? This is where you could just stop. And I said, what do you mean I could just stop? He said you could just stop thinking about it. And until that point, I didn't even have an inkling that I could stop it. I thought that if I thought about something hard enough, I would somehow solve it. I would somehow find out by thinking in my thinking that I would work out why they were thinking, why they were doing what they were doing. I'd understand their thinking. I thought that. And that's not true. I can't. If I think something, that's my thinking. It's got nothing to do with another person. I thought that I could work out the solution. I thought that I could work out how to get it to stop. I thought I could work out how to make them change. I thought, I tried to analyze them. I did psychology at university, so I would be like psychoanalyzing them, just endless stuff. And I just don't want to hurt myself anymore. So I just don't tend to do that so much these days. It's too painful. You can stop, Deborah. I know it doesn't seem like you can, but you can just stop. It looks like it. It looks like you can't, but you can. But I think there's something about realizing that the suffering is in the thinking and nowhere else. The answer is not in your psychology, because your psychology is just all your old habits and beliefs and limiting beliefs and concepts of things and how you think the world works and because that's how your mother thought the world worked, or your father, or whatever. It's not reality. There are no answers there. None whatsoever. But I really used to think that's where they were. And, it's my situation was with my ex-husband was exactly the same as yours, very similar to what you're describing. He would snap and sometimes throw things at me. Very, very angry, shouting on. I wish I'd known then what I know now. Yeah, Deborah. And in the end, that was what just came to me. I just suddenly knew I mean, to be fair, if I'd listened to my intuition, I knew when I was walking up the aisle. I love my children very dearly and I don't have any regrets, but I didn't listen to my intuition. And when you're, yeah, definitely, Wendy, we are worth more. When you have some quiet, I don't advocate making decisions when you're stirred up, when you're upset, when you're caught up in this thinking that you're describing. But you'll just know sometime when you're quiet, you might be in the shower, you might be out for a walk, you'll just suddenly know. Oh, bless you, Gail. Looks like you've been on a journey. But I mean, your physical safety, please know, is different to your emotional safety. Your emotional well-being and safety is inside you all the time. Physically, you have a body to protect. So I would just put those two into different camps, Gail. Because whenever we think that our emotional well-being is beholden to somebody else, we are not empowered to make the decision we need to make. Now, at some point, we may well just have a preference not to be in a house where we're being shouted at randomly for no apparent reason. And definitely, if we feel like we're physically at risk, then our body needs to be taken care of, doesn't it? Yeah, bless you, girl. I'm so sorry to read that. Hopefully you're in a better place now. But I feel like there's just sometimes an inner knowing, isn't there? Just when it's time to go, it's time to stop, and it's time to move on. But I think those decisions are made better when we are clear about how our experience is being created. When we are clear that that our experience works inside out, not outside in. Sorry, I'm slightly distracted by some very loud screaming that sounds like it's coming from the house the other way. Not my ex-husband's house. That would be ironic if they started screaming at each other, wouldn't it? While I was talking about him, he used to scream at me. But I feel like it's coming from the other direction, and we do sometimes have there's sometimes some very angry, usually a daughter. I think she's in her late 20s, and the parents are having a humdinger. So I'm just kind of, when you're partially thinking, oh, what's going on there? That noise in the background. So, yeah. Yeah, share. I can really relate to that. I've got my stories very much like that. However, my fiance did change. I feel very grateful that he learnt this understanding with me. But those promises to change, I've got a limited, time for me. If somebody isn't actually taking any action, then they're not ready, and it's not our job to make them change. So I hope for all of you that are in these difficult situations that this is helpful, and that if this is helping to you to experience more calm, then it is going to be helpful. But if you feel ready to talk to somebody about this, to get some guidance on this, to maybe get a different perspective on it, then if you go to the link in my bio, there's ways to reach out to me there. And I'm always happy to, I've hopped on a few calls now with people from Insight Timeline. That's been, it's been helpful. And it's nice to have a proper chat with a proper human being. So we're drawing to a close soon, but I'm going to pick up on Paul's comment there. Yeah, lots of so thank you for the gratitude, Paul. That's lovely. External and internal relationship challenges. I would say the vast majority of them are internal. or maybe all once we see it. Yeah, you can relate to what everyone else is saying. Oh, bless you. So sorry to hear that, Paul. Yeah, and this I have to say, Paul, where you say you paint, they made me feel game. Struggling to get out of communication cycles that hurt each other. This understanding has transformed my relationship with my fiance. There's just no two ways about it. We had a difficult start. Well, we had a lovely start, and then we went into quite a difficult patch because, bless him, he'd had some rough times as a child, and he kind of brought his patterns. He brought some patterns with it. I brought my patterns. Of course, we both brought our patterns, and they kind of butted heads with each other. But we both went on a kind of self-help journey, and he did some hypnotherapy and some inner child work and all some other stuff. But actually, the big transformation has been this. So I tend towards a bit of criticism, and he tends towards a bit of not reacting well to criticism. But now he mostly just laughs at me. And then I start laughing, and it's all finished with, and the criticism has just got lighter and more playful, and it isn't criticism anymore. It's completely changed. Yeah, I love what Wendy's just said there. Promises are not work. Yeah, I've just been listening to John Whitmore's book, which is called Coaching for Performance. It's part of my course that I'm on at the moment, and he said, really pin down your clients for action, because business people especially spend hours thinking about things and no time doing. So it's really important that we see action. It's not so yes, mental health time limit can be set in your head. Is actually doing any work to change it. Yeah, it'll happen again. Yeah, completely different for me with Bruce now, because he really did yeah, he's really taken on this understanding. He's always listening to podcasts and stuff. I hear him every day. Yeah, just Gail, I understand that your heart problems went after you left and everything changed, but it will, it's still created inside out. Somebody else can't make us feel anything. They can't create our experience. I know it looks that way because it's a very persuasive illusion. And I'm so glad you've got yourself into a place where you feel better. But the truth is that that our world works inside out, not outside in. And we can see that, can't we? Because people can be doing the thing they always did, and some days it's a nightmare, other days it's not so much of a nightmare. And it's just how we're relating to it in the moment, and that psychology, that thought is transient. So I'm going to stop now, because in theory, what's going to be happening now on a Tuesday, although I don't think anybody's started booking into it yet because it's quite new, is I'm going to be doing a session. I'm going to be doing a session on Zoom, which you can see on the link in my bio, and it'll be a weekly session, which will run straight after this live. So thank you so much, everybody. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I love Eckhart Tolle, Paul, and I would say Eckhart Tolle pretty much points in exactly the same direction as the three principles. And in fact, my three principles coach has just been on an Eckhart Tolle retreat, and he's trying to get Eckhart Tolle and the three principles together. So that could be really interesting. The difference I would say with Eckhart Tolle is that he uses a tool. He uses tools to help people, like meditation. Byron Katie points in exactly the same direction. She also uses tools to help people. Whereas the three principles is the foundational explanation. It's descriptive, not prescriptive. So we don't have any tools. It's just about understanding how your experience has been created. So thank you so much. Just a reminder, I don't think I've even said it today, that these sessions are brought to you by donations. So if you are able to support me, then please do make a donation, and remember that supports Insight Time to keep a big chunk of content free. And if you're not able to support me that way, then please do hop onto one of my courses and find out more about this understanding. As I say, course number 5 is about to emerge into the world, and just see how long Insight Time will take to clear that through. But usually it's about 5 days, so hopefully end of this week, beginning of next week, it will be out, because I uploaded it yesterday. So thank you so much for being here today. Let's just tell you quickly what's happening tomorrow. Oh, thank you so much, Deborah. That's so kind. Let me just, I have to look at my own profile to see. So I get them right. So tomorrow, that's tomorrow at 8:05 a.m. UK time, the gift of forgiveness. And on Friday at 1:11 p.m, transforming criticism to empowerment. Don't tend to do one on a Thursday. And then next week will just be on the last week of exploring relationships. And then from September onwards, we will be exploring just the foundations of the three principles, and I'll be covering all sorts of subjects around that. I'll be covering stuff around the antidote to self-help and why the three principles is the answer, why none of us need any self-help. How about that world? Who wants to come with me on that journey to never, like, I have given up all the tools, all the techniques, all the thing. So if you look up about, if you find Sydney Banks, look for Sydney Banks's books, because he's the originator. Hopefully you've got that down. If you look for Sydney Banks, he's the originator of the three principles. He's got some lovely books. The Enlightened Gardener is a lovely one. I've got a little group on here, and I was going to put a book list in there, so I will get around to doing that. So guys, yeah, you can read any of Sydney Banks' work. The Enlightened Gardener's lovely. Second Chance. I mean, all his books, apart from there's just one book that's not written like a novel, and that's The Missing Link, which is that what I was talking about, thought being the bridge between the formless and the form. So, thank you. So, Karen Bodley. I don't know Karen Bodley. Is she a teacher on Insight Timer? Bosley. Is she a teacher on Insight Timer, Paul? I can have a look at Karen. No. I don't know who Karen Bosley is. What did I say? I don't know, Paul. Maybe drop me a message. Oh, Byron Katie. Oh, Byron Katie. Byron Katie is not a three principles teacher, but she does point in a very similar direction. Oh, bless you too. Bless you, goers. So sorry to hear about that. Oh, goodness gracious. Bless you. I'm so glad you're here, goers. That sounds awful. Yeah, Byron Katie is she is Byron Katie, not Katie Byron. Don't ask me why, I don't understand. But there is a story behind it, but I can't remember what the story is. But yeah, I'd look up her, and the work is her stuff. Again, she points in the same direction but uses a tool like Eckhart Tolle, whereas the three principles explains why all those tools work, but also gives you the opportunity to have freedom from them. And oh, bless you, guys. I'm so sorry to hear that. But sending you lots of love, and sending all of you lots of love. I'm going to hit the road now in the motorhome. So tomorrow when I go live, I'll be in the motorhome, and I'll be in the motorhome on Friday, and all of next week and the week after too. I'm going on an adventure to Aberdeen. So lots of love, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the donations, and thank you for supporting me on my courses and listening to my other tracks. It's always good to see you there. So lots of love. Take care. Bye.